What do you want to say in your novel? What is the overall message that you want to give through your story? When we sit down to write a story, we think to ourselves, first of all, we think of the story itself. We think of the characters, the plot line, point A to point B. And we think about a lot of the surface level stuff to get started, but deep down, even if we don't realize it at first, there is something that we want to say. A good story has something to say. A good story has something compelling to say to its audience because we want to convince our audience of something. And one of the pitfalls of writing a book with something to say is that sometimes we can get into this bad habit of almost treating our own story like our own personal therapy. Sometimes we're using the story to get over something that we're going through, that we're struggling with. And I don't think it's bad I don't think it's bad to use that partially. Now, it's very possible to go the really pretentious, this is all about me route. When we write our rough draft, we are writing the story for us. We're not really writing it for an audience. When we get to the second draft, then we are writing it for the audience. And when we get to the second draft and we're thinking about it more from the perspective of what is our audience, that's when the parts of the story that is more for us as the author than it is for the audience needs to be pared down, needs to be toned down. Um, I think for me, one of my regrets with the first book that I wrote, The Glass God, which link in the description below on Amazon, was there were a few aspects of that story, without giving too much away, where I definitely felt like um, I was addressing things about myself that I didn't like. And I was kind of addressing that in the story, kind of bringing those things that I didn't like about myself to trial, if you will. And while I did make it a point in revisions to make it less about myself in those parts of the story, I would say that in the book that I'm writing right now, um, I'm even in a way kind of going out of my way to make sure that there is less of me or less of my own personal stuff in the book, and just trying to tell a story that is more along the lines of a traditional hero's journey. We don't, I mean, most people don't think of themselves as heroes, right? Yet, the hero's journey exists in storytelling. We love our heroes. We love writing about heroes. Um, and so, like, I guess an examples I can come up with is that, like, you look at Star Wars: A New Hope, the hero's journey there, Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, staring at the twin suns, yearning to do something more with his life than help his uncle and aunt with the farm. And that was a pretty traditional, straightforward hero's journey. Now look at Star Wars: The Acolyte, one of the Disney Plus shows, where the director even admitted in interviews that she was that she was kind of expressing herself through the writing, expressing herself through the characters and some of her own personal inner turmoil, her own personal grievances, and, trying to tell that in the form of a story set in the Star Wars universe. And obviously, it didn't go over so well with a lot of people. People are able to notice the difference when you are trying to tell a story that is meant to entertain and when you're trying to tell a story where you're like banging someone over the head with your own, personal beliefs and views and philosophies and everything. It can be easy to, to think pretentiously when writing your own story. So that all being said, I just want to encourage you that if you're writing a novel right now and you're wanting to tell a story where you kind of want to use it as a vehicle to explore some of your own personal stuff, I don't think that's inherently wrong, but you want to kind of keep it under control so that it's not just about you. This is also about the characters. This is about the people who are reading it. Are you telling them a story with a message that they can draw some value from? That's incredibly important, because if you just make it about yourself, it's kind of just it's a pretentious project. It's like people are able to pick up on that, and people are not attracted to that. They don't think that there's nothing attractive about it. It's just kind of, it makes people walk away. Um, so yeah, that's my writing advice. Those are my tips for you tonight. This is Forest After Dark. Like and subscribe if you liked what you heard. I noticed that there were people who liked my video about what I'm reading right now. And so I will continue to actually share that in the future. I am in the process of reading where it's like once I'm done with a particular book, I will swap that out for another book. So I will share what I'm reading with you guys over time as I finish the books that I'm reading right now. Procrastination Proof by Jon Acuff, City of Stairs by Robert Burnett, and what was it? And The Witcher, Sword of Destiny by Sapkowski. And I do plan on reading The Psychology of Money next in terms of nonfiction. And in terms of fiction, obviously it'll be whatever the next Witcher novel is. And then if I end up liking City of Stairs enough that I want to read the sequel, I'll read the sequel. But otherwise, yeah, that's what I've got for you guys today. I do entries every night through my journey as I'm writing my second book. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.